Welcome back to Insight Review as we look back on the defining stories of the past 7 days. We turn now to the subject of corruption, and this week Transparency International released its annual list of the most corrupt countries in the world. Let's take you through the best and the worst. According to Transparency International, a staggering 121 countries of the 176 on its list were ranked as having serious levels of corruption. Denmark and New Zealand tied for first place. They have the lowest levels of corruption. At the other end of the list, in last place is Somalia, ranked as the most corrupt country for the 10th year running. It was closely trailed by South Sudan, North Korea and Syria. With me today, Ellen de Zoet, who's the Managing Director of the public relations agency PLMR, and the journalist and filmmaker Leah Borromeo. Leah, it's a measure they use, Transparency International, as a number of things, but crucial is how transparent the way that a government spends its money. And that seems central. Follow the money. Where does it all go?
Follow the money is very, very interesting. But now that you say that, now that you also mentioned the highest ranking countries and you compare them to the lowest ranking countries, it also seems to be a bit of a poverty index.
Yes.
Right?
Is it a link?
Yeah. And it is, and it's kind of also, in a strange way, prejudicing people around that, because if you look at countries like Singapore and Switzerland, they economically and also on this TI list rank pretty highly and continually rank pretty highly. However, there isn't really a freedom of the press and freedom of expression in Singapore, and Switzerland is notorious for keeping locked down, especially information about finance and where money goes. So, is it really that kind of an index to go by, or is it just another way that we can reinforce our own ideas?
I'm not sure what the next thing is, Ellen. So that is what it is. That's the way the world is. What do we sort of learn and need to do next once we've read this list?
Well, I think it's giving us a steer as to, for countries which need to work more on separation of powers, building up institutions,
a free
that
press,
kind of thing, a free press.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what's happened in Qatar, you can see the impact of the scandals around FIFA and the World Cup and how that's really affected them. Also, with the allegations around human rights abuses there. So, for countries like Qatar, they'll now be very focused on trying to raise their position in the rankings. And I know, as a PR professional, they are certainly investing very heavily in that side of things to try and raise their profile and prove to the world that they're making improvements.
I was going to put the maybe naive point to you. Are they bothered? Do they care about this?
They're very bothered. They're very bothered. They're investing heavily in trying to improve their reputation on the world stage.
This is the new era of the whistleblower as well. I mean, there are people who are now entrenched within power structures and within societies where they think, okay, actually now I have this agency, I have this ability to do this, and if I'm not happy with the way things are going, then I'll just blow the whistle on this. And so when you have something like Transparency International, how free are we, or actually are we, to be able to do that in our own structures and not get that payback and not get that kind of comeback? When you look at what Ed Snowden did, and the fact he's now in exile in Russia, or if you look at Laurie Love, for instance, and what he managed to do here, and that there's a plan for him to be extradited to the United States for things that he's done. How exactly are these metrics being kind of set out, and who's reading them, and how are we kind of bolstering our own sort of ideas and prejudices for that?
Okay, let's move on from corruption to doping in sport. In the news this week, Usain Bolt's teammate at the 2008 Beijing Olympics that cost him a gold medal. Let's take you through the details of just why Usain lost a medal. It was his teammate that proved positive. Until this week, Usain Bolt held the unprecedented title of the triple-triple Olympic champion. Triple-triple refers to the 3 gold medals from the 100 metres, 200 metres and the 4x100 metre relay that Bolt won at the past 3 Olympic Games. Now, it was in that last race, the 4x100 at the Beijing Games, that a urine test from Bolt's relay teammate, Nesta Carter, was reanalysed. And with the benefit of modern technology, the tests have become more accurate, and Carter's blood was found to contain a banned substance. Ellen and Leah are with me in the studio today. Ellen, does this seem fair? This is 2008, long time ago.
Yes.
And he didn't do anything wrong,
Yes.
but he has to leave the medal on behalf of the team.
Yeah, and actually, you know, he's taken that on the chin and said, if it's proven that the test is positive, as it has done, I'm willing to give up the medal, which I think is the right thing to do. But it shows you how far we've come in terms of technology, that we can now test blood tests from 8 years ago, and we're now getting different results. So I think athletes around the world will be paying attention to these developments.
I wonder if that is the central message, Sheila, is that you think you got away with it? Then maybe it's not just at that particular competition, but maybe forever. You know, you're going to be checked and double-checked.
Yeah. I mean, are they trying to set or make an example of them? You know, very much so. And the thing is, when I talk about cheating, you know, it's like, it's not just who cheated, but who else is being cheated. You know, who else is being cheated of this medal? So the rest of the Jamaican team is being cheated of the medal. And then everybody else at the time when it happened was also cheated of that, you know, that sense of victory and that sense of achievement. So yeah, definitely going to be.
I wonder if it erodes the whole sort of Olympic ideal of that achieving amazing things, because is there not a risk that people think, oh, well, they're very good athletes, but maybe they're the ones that got away with it, because we just haven't found out they got away with it yet.
Well, it's interesting now that Usain Bolt is the last of the 6 people that have got under 9:79 in the sprint who has not tested positive at some point. So, you know, do we still think that the races have integrity, and do we have faith in the actual system itself?
And if we don't think it's got integrity, it's damaging, isn't it, to the sport and to the aspiration of the Olympic ideals?
Well, it's definitely bad for the PR of the whole thing. I mean, it's you know, it's not a good
Well, I understand
look.
that, yeah, but I wonder if it's a bit more fundamental, really. And at the end of the day, it might hit athletics and the Olympic Games in its pocketbook, because people maybe will become disillusioned, and television companies won't pay the money, and people won't turn up to watch the races.
What they do is they sell hope. And when kids are sitting there looking at all these athletes going, I hope to do that.
Yeah.
I could do that.
I could do that.
If I
It's a
try
dream,
hard
isn't
enough.
it?
Yeah, if I try hard enough. And then suddenly somebody goes, oh yeah, by the way, here's a bit of this, and you can take that, and then you can run as fast as you. Of course I'll go that route. Right? But these doping scandals have been carrying on for years. I mean, back in the 80s, you had Jose Canseco and the Oakland Athletics and baseball, and then which carried on for absolutely, you know, for decades. And people have always been doing this, and everybody wants to condemn it. Yet people still feel like they need to, because there's an edge. And how does that sully, you know, the little girl and the little boy who wants to?
Well, I think if you go back to the sort of first grade or whatever it might be, it is a terrible contrast, isn't it? That here is the great dream. Try hard, work hard, and you'll achieve something amazing. And yet, sitting side by that is the presumption that if you do achieve something amazing, you may have got some chemical infusion to help you along the way.
And I think perhaps we need to do more to shake up the testing regime, because this is happening time and time again, and people will start to lose faith in it and lose faith in that dream.
Really? It needs to go even further. I mean, this is chalked up as a success for the testing regime, isn't it? They found wrongdoing.
Well, they
you think
found
we need to go further than
wrongdoing
that?
8 years later, after they'd already tested once. So it was, you know, this is off the back of a failure to spot it the first time.
All right.
And how far back are you going to go historically? And
We'll have to leave that for another discussion another time, I think. Thank you very much indeed for being with us today. We're going to end our programme, as we always do, with the Insight Bite. This is a little something that we feel you should know. Now, if you were to ask a literary critic for a list of the greatest books ever written, George Orwell's name would likely feature close to the top of the list. His dystopian masterpiece, 1984, paints a vision of a superstate called Oceania in a world of perpetual war, omnipresent government surveillance, and public manipulation. Sounds familiar? Well, it must be ringing true for a number of people. Since President Trump took office on January 20th, sales of this book, which was first published in 1949, have soared to number 3 on Amazon's best-selling book list. And with that, that's all for now. I'm Martin Stanford. That was Insight Review.